America's most talked about program.
We have an especially wonderful guest with us. This is the famous Hollywood columnist whose name is familiar to everyone all over the world, the very wonderful, lovely Luella Parsons. Hello, Luella. Very sweet of you to come around and see our show.
You know, I wouldn't miss your show for anything in the world.
Thank you. Coming from you, we're very, very flattered about that. Thank you very
I
much.
brought some friends here, you know, Jimmy.
I see one pal here. I see a couple others are going to meet in a minute. This is Jimmy McHugh. Jimmy, it's real wonderful to see you. The last time you folks out there looked at this face, he was seated up there in our chair of honor. That is the last time you were here at the show, about 2 years ago. Jimmy, wonderful.
I have another guest, too.
You sure have.
Hello.
Bebe Daniels and Ben Lyon, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Ben. Wonderful. All the way from England, two great American motion picture stars whose radio show over the British Broadcasting Company, Life with the Lions, is number one. The number one show in all England. Let's America applaud for Bebe and Ben. Well, they're still Americans in London. Sure glad to see you both. Really, it is. What?
Wonderful to see you.
Thanks, darling. What brings you and your charming wife to Hollywood, Ben? Just a little vacation?
Well, we're on a vacation, Ralph, and while we're here, we want to see all the top TV shows, and naturally, we had to come to see yours.
Thank you, sir, very much for the very kind words. We're glad you included ours. Ben, we have a great show for you tonight, and have you ever seen This Is Your Life?
Yes, we have.
Have
We've seen
you?
it twice, and it's wonderful.
Good.
Just wonderful.
Well, I think you'll enjoy it even more tonight, Bebe, because tonight, This Is Your Life, Bebe Daniels Live. The skeletons out of the cupboard. Yes.
I've been away so long, they won't remember me.
Are you kidding? They won't remember you. They'll remember you plenty, darling. Come on, it's an inspiring life. We'll learn all about it if you'll come on up on our stage here, our Hazel Bishop stage, in the chair of honor. And incidentally, Luella, where are you, darling? Luella Parsons, thank you so much for inviting Bebe and Ben to our show. We'll see you and Ben a little later on when you take your all-important places. Thank you so much. Come along here, my goodness, between the covers of this book. All right. Between the covers of this book, Bebe, we have many happy surprises for you. So come on up. Sit in our chair of honor. Here we go. Wish her well again. She's shaking a little. Come on, sit down here, please, and join us in bringing to life the career of not only one of the all-time great motion picture stars, but of a valiant and loyal woman who turned her back on comfort and safety to face the dangers of war as a heroic civilian. This is Your Life, Bebe Daniels Live. This is the London Blitz, the year 1944. Ben is away with the 8th Airport. You, Bebe, are living in the Hyde Park section of London. When the war clouds first rolled over Europe in 1939, you and Ben took your children, Barbara and Richard, back to America to safety.
That's right.
Now, what made you, come on, sit over here, girl, because we're going to learn all about this wonderful person that you are. What made you and Ben return to England to face the dangers of the Blitz, Bebe?
Well, the British people have been so wonderful to us, and, well, we couldn't very well run out on them when they were in trouble.
Wonderful thing. It's this loyalty and this courage that has characterized your whole life, Bebe.
There was no one I knew who did more than Miss Daniels to bring comfort and cheer in those frightful days. To us in Britain, Bebe was the best part of Lend-Lease.
Well, now there's, you were the best part of Lend-Lease, that voice said. A voice out of your past, Bebe. I doubt that you would recognize it, do you? Back in 1944, he was a Paddington Air Raid warden in his spare time, and he was badly hurt right outside your Hyde Park home, Bebe. We've brought him here to Hollywood all the way from Middlesex, England. He's a very important sculptor now. Here he is, Edward Pinto. Now, with tell us just what happened in that bombing raid in 1944, Mr. Pinto?
Well, my right leg was pretty badly smashed. It was bleeding quite a lot. And I was carried into Daniel's house, and Dr. Edward McGuire put an emergency dressing on it.
Miss Daniels lent you her hot water bottle.
Did?
This is the bravest man in the world. The only thing he was worried about was whether he spotted the carpet or not,
And I did.
and whether he could get my hot water bottle back.
You went to the hospital, of course.
Yes.
His leg wasn't the thing that...
And the next day at the hospital, I had a lovely flowering plant from Bebe and a very cheery note wishing me well.
And you got a note in return, didn't you, Bebe? A sort of a thank you note in which Mr. Pinto said in part, I'm feeling much more comfortable, thanks, and I'm only sorry my leg made such a mess of your carpet. Meanwhile, I have told my successor as group warden that if ever he feels any urge to get knocked out, he cannot do better than stage it in front of your door.
Right.
P.S. I forgot to mention they had to remove my leg. Thank you very much, Mr. Edward Pinto, for coming here all the way from Middlesex, England. All right, Bebe Daniels, let's turn the clock backwards now through the years to 1901, January 14th to be exact. Where were you on that day, Bebe?
Well, like all women, I hate to tell my age.
Well-
But that's when I was born.
Yes, and this was in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas.
You know, that's something I didn't know. Dallas, Texas, Bebe Daniels was born. Your mother and father had a traveling repertory company.
That's right.
And unhappily, they were separated when you were little more than a baby. So with your mother continuing her acting career, you spend your childhood either on the road with her or at your grandmother's ranch near La Crescenta, California.
Yes, that's right.
You were, we got the whole day on your gift. It was here that you started in school. It was here that you learned to ride horseback on a little pony named Viva.
How did you know that?
Bebe learned to dance and sing when she was at a little about 4 years old, and that's her first appearance on the stage.
Now,
That's my mother.
yes, your mother who was companion and friend, confidant and advisor in your childhood and maturity. A great actress in her own right, Phyllis Griffin Daniels, and here she is. Come on, sit beside your lovely daughter here, sweetie. Miss Daniels, come on now. And I want you to tell us, excuse me, Hazel Bishop's lipstick. This is what, we had that for you at the end of the part. It's falling off. Tell us, what was Bebe's first part on the stage?
Her first part was the youthful Duke of York in Richard III.
Then the next year,
Then we
what
came
happened?
to Los Angeles, and she played the little girl and the girl I left behind me.
Yes, she's only 5 years old then, right? Right? Yeah, that's the moniker you can watch.
I didn't see myself.
Usually they don't see that part about the end, you know. What is that? Yeah, you can watch what's happening. Now, when most children were 5 years old, of course, they were playing with dolls. But you, Bebe, were playing serious roles on the stage.
That's right. And Mother and I had some wonderful times together.
Yes.
Well, there were hard times, too. Times when there were no engagements for Mother, and you had to skimp and make tough work of yourself, make both ends meet. But still ever cheerful, ever hopeful. Mother taught you to face each day with a smile. What did she used to say? Tell us.
If you think right, everything will be right.
Right.
She's been a wonderful mother.
It was during one of these lean spells in the theater that Mother decided that you and she should try the flicker, wasn't she?
Oh, yes.
What was
She said, you know what she said?
What'd she say?
Well, when somebody suggested that we go into motion pictures, she said, I've done a lot of things in my life, but I will never stoop that low.
But you did, I think. What was your first picture?
My first picture, the Common Enemy.
I think Betty Hart and Frank Montgomery were in that, and that was in 1909. You were just 8 years old, Bebe. And the Felix Film Company paid you and Mother $5 a day.
Yes.
By the time you're 11, you're a seasoned Western player in films with Hoot Gibson. See, they're looking at the picture of you there. And later, Jack Holt. Before you're 13, you're trying to talk Hal Roach into hiring you as Harold Lloyd's leading lady.
That's right.
I'll never forget the day in my office. Bebe, not yet a teenager, acting like a veteran. And without batting an eye, asking for $35 a week.
Well, who's that?
That's Hal.
Yes, the man who gave you your first real opportunity in pictures, a real pioneer in film comedy, and still a giant in Hollywood. Your dear friend, Bebe, Hal Roach, Sr. Here he is.
did,
I know
didn't
it's
you,
a
Hal?
thrill for him to hear you say that. Did you pay Bebe the $35 a week she asked for?
No, he gave me $5 a day.
You did that.
Yeah.
And we had to make one picture a week, too.
Oh, my.
But the money was not the problem. The problem was that everybody thought Harold Lloyd's leading lady should be a blonde.
Oh.
I thought so, too, until I saw Bebe.
Oh, so you hired her?
I told him I'd wear a wig.
No, I said I'd show her to Harold Lloyd first.
Yes. And what did he think, Mr. Rose?
Well, why not let Harold speak for himself, Al?
All right, Bebe, one of your very best friends and a man who has endeared himself to all moviegoers the world over, Mr. Harold Lloyd. Speedy.
We always call him Speedy.
Speedy, that's, I never heard that.
Oh, yes.
How did you feel about Bebe the first time you saw her, Harold?
Oh, I liked her immediately. And I told Hal so, and that was it.
Yes.
So I got the job.
And you were leading lady for 4 years, isn't that right,
Yes,
Harold?
at least that, Ralph. Maybe a little longer. You know, in those old silent one-reel days, we used to make a picture a week. I guess Bebe and I have been in over 200 pictures together.
Yeah, there you are, there, the two of you.
And Hal...
Y'all remember that.
And Hal, as far as I remember, I don't believe that Bebe ever had a double. You know, the stunts were pretty rough in those days.
Don't be silly. If you couldn't do the stunt, you didn't get the part.
You're just about right.
Look, Harold Lloyd was your first real date.
He was my first date.
You know, we used to do a lot of dancing together, Ralph, did we, Bebe?
Yes, we certainly
Look,
did.
wasn't there one night in particular, Harold, at the Sunset Inn?
Well, all the dancing nights were particular. We had lots of fun. But, you know, I think it was during one of these contests that Bebe attracted the attention of Mr. Cecil B. DeMille.
Ah,
Oh, you remember that now?
yes, indeed.
Yes.
And Cecil B. DeMille was already one of filmdom's leading director-producers, wasn't he?
Yes, he certainly was. He still is. And it wasn't long after that Steve B. DeMille offered Bebe a contract to work with him. But one of Bebe's greatest virtues is loyalty. As I recall it, she thanked Steve B., told him she appreciated the honor, but that she had a contract with Hal Roach, and she was very happy about it. Of course, the whole company loved Bebe, and we were mighty happy about the way she felt.
I'll bet you were, too, weren't you, Mr. Roach? Yes, indeed. And Mr. DeMille rewarded your loyalty to Hal Roach and Harold by saying, well, if and when you're not under contract, give me a ring at the studio. Is that
That's right, he did.
Thank you, Harold Lloyd and Hal Roach. We're seeing history go by here for films tonight. This chance meeting in 1917 with Mr. DeMille, Bebe, was to change the whole course of your life. We turn the clock back to the year 1918. In this year, Bebe, your contract with Hal Roach as Harold Lloyd's leading lady is soon to come up for renewal. But you have other hopes, haven't you? What did you want to be?
I wanted to be a dramatic actress.
Yes.
And every time I was, they put me back in comedy.
Barely 17, Bebe. You face a major turning point in your life. And then you remember your brief interview with Cecil B. DeMille. Mr. DeMille wanted to be here in person with you tonight, but right now he's in Egypt, as you know, producing and directing another great epic motion picture, The Ten Commandments. However, before he left, he filmed a message to you. So here is the man who, for 40 years, has led the motion picture industry to ever greater achievements. Mr. Hollywood himself, Cecil B. DeMille. Here, dear.
Well,
Yes, I'm still an admirer, Bebe. And I'm sorry not to be there to take a personal part in this great tribute to you. I've watched your useful life. From that first day you came into my office wearing a suit you borrowed from your mother. You remember?
I remember.
You did that to make you look older.
I was always
And you thought you'd gotten away with it, too. And I think maybe you did. Because if I remember rightly, that was the day I engaged you for Paramount Pictures.
Right, it was.
Do you remember what I said to you, Bebe?
Yes.
Just as you were leaving my office?
You said don't wear...
Next time, don't wear your mother's clothes. You worked hard to justify the faith that Jesse Lasky and I had in you. And before 6 months were up, you were a star. Not a comedian, not a comic star, but a dramatic star. Since then, your star has never faltered. It's risen steadily to greater heights. I'm very happy, Bebe, to have had some part in your brilliant career and your inspiring life. God bless you, my dear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cecil B. DeMille. Good luck to you, sir, on the 10 Commandments. And we'll all be looking for Paramount's soon-to-be-released picture of Irving Berlin's White Christmas, starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Vera Ellen, and Rosemary Clooney. There it is, in 1929, you make movie history, Bebe, and surprise the world with your singing in the title role of Rio Rita, RKO's great forerunner to the lavish musicals to come. Your co-star in that one was John Bowles, but in your brilliant career, you played with practically all the greats. With Thomas Meehan, Gloria Swanson, Lila Lee in Male and Female, with Wallace Reed in The Dancing Fool and Nice People, with Rudolph Valentino in Monsieur Beaucaire, with Douglas Fairbanks in Reaching for the Moon, with John Barrymore in Counselor at Law. What a list of credits.
And what?
Many others, too. Your star, Bebe Daniels' Lyon, still rides high over the airways of England and high in our hearts here in America.
If I may say so, Bebe's star rides pretty high in my heart, too.
Well, the one man in your life, Bebe
My
Daniels.
old man, Ben.
Great star. Who'll ever forget Ben Lyon and Jean Harlow in Hell's Angels? A great guy who, when you got married on June 14th, 1930, made it possible for all the press agents to quip Daniels in the Lion Den. Your husband, Ben Lyon. Yourself quite a time chasing this gal and catching up with her, didn't you, Ben?
I surely did, Ralph. I don't think Bebe held a very high opinion of me when we first met at the Montmartre Cafe in New York in 1925. But I felt differently toward her.
So,
Well, the next time I went to the Montmartre, she was sitting there with Gary Cooper. I bribed the waiter to let me take his place.
So,
I stuck my finger into her soup and served it. But she was so busy looking and admiring Gary Cooper, she didn't see what I was doing. I took it away before she had a chance to eat it.
and then, Ben?
And then I finally won her serious intentions.
Yeah.
And we were married in Beverly Hills.
Wonderful. And that was 24 years ago, the happy beginning to one of Hollywood's marriages. Sit down here beside your bride, Ben.
How do you know I didn't arrange the whole thing, Ben?
From now on, your lives are truly as one. In 1936, you and Ben make your first appearance at Val Parnell's famed London Palladium. The audiences immediately take you into their hearts. Your children were in London with you before the war, weren't they, Bebe?
That's right.
Yes?
They were.
Right. And then, of course,
1929.
with England,
39.
at war in 39, the children are in school in America, while you and Ben stand shoulder to shoulder with your London friends facing fire and destruction from the sky. You were carrying on all this time on your mission of cheerfulness and mercy in the hospitals, in the streets, in your own home, and on the airwaves, tirelessly, endlessly.
You make me sound very brave, but I was scared to death all the time.
Yeah, you were brave in my book. You were brave. June 1944, D-Day. Just 15 days after the first waves of Allied troops set foot on the Normandy beachhead, you, Bebe, become the first civilian woman to join the invasion. You entertain the troops in the Sky Blazers' very first show. A scant 600 yards from the enemy lines, you make recordings of the voices of the wounded as they're brought in from the back. Personal messages of reassurance that you send to their loved ones back home.
There are no words to express what those messages meant and still mean to those of us who received them.
Now, a grateful voice, Phoebe, but one you have no way of recognizing. Here is one of the thousands of mothers whose hearts were gladdened by your work, Phoebe. She's the mother of Lieutenant Mark Mathis, now Mrs. Preston B. Scott of San Angelo, Texas, and Alexis, Illinois. And here's one of the Scotts. Mrs. Scott, will you tell us about the record you received, thanks to Bebe Daniels?
Well, it was made by my older son, Mark, after his younger brother, Gus, was killed on a flying mission. And Mark told me that he was going to take over.
This was on the record.
Yes,
He
this
said
was on the record.
It was a cheerful message,
Yes,
wasn't it?
it was.
Full of youthful hope.
Yes, and that's the last time that I ever heard from Mark.
Last time he spoke. to you.
Mhm.
Record.
Oh, darling, Jack and Mark will never leave us. They're as alive today, or more so than they ever were. Believe me.
Well, Mark Mathis lost his life in the same plane that carried his brother. There isn't a mother in the world who will not understand what that recording you made, Phoebe, means to Mrs. Scott. Thank you, Mrs. Preston B. Scott of San Angelo, Texas.
Thank
Alexis,
you, darling.
Thank you, darling.
1946, for your service, Phoebe, Lieutenant General Ira C. Aker awards you the Medal of Freedom with 2 battle stars, which is awarded only for service under fire. In the same ceremony, you, Ben, received the Medal of the Legion of Merit. Well, that just about brings us to the present, Phoebe, and to your current visits with your very best friend, Luella Parsons. And here's the lovely lady.
All this is.
Oh, my heavens, I know why you had my hair cut.
Oh, the secret this gal has had to keep. And Ben, you were the matron of honor at Phoebe's and Ben's wedding, weren't you?
Very proud to say I was, and I'm the godmother of their beautiful daughter, Barbara Beebe.
This
What?
is my dearest, best friend, Luella. She's the most wonderful, generous person in the world, and I adore her.
You're a little prejudiced, I'm afraid.
No, I'm not.
Tell us
Not at all.
about these good people, Luella.
Well, I don't think I could tell all about them in one evening, but I would like to say that I have just been to London, where I visited them. And all you have to do when you want to go to their home is to say to a taxi driver, take me to Ben and Bebe. And they take you right to their home on 18th Southern Street.
Yeah.
I can only say that Bebe and Ben have been my dearest friends. I've known Bebe a little longer, but girls never tell their age, so I won't say how long.
Yes. Well, it's out tonight.
I had to
Luella.
tell mine tonight.
Ben said it was okay.
They really tricked me.
You know, their show, Life with the Lions, is the #1 show in England.
Oh, honey, now, come on.
Well, deservedly so, too.
Listen, to this day, she treats me like a movie star.
Well,
She comes
aren't
in
you?
and
I
says,
didn't-
honey,
my favorite
can't I run
movie
your
star.
bath water for you? She brings my coffee to me. It's the most wonderful thing in the world.
I'm sure the Lions are proud, too, to call you their friend, Luella. Life of the Lions, your top-rating radio show, started in 1950. Who was in the cast?
Well, in the cast, of course,
Our children.
Bebe and
Yeah.
Ben and Barbara Beebe, their lovely daughter, and their handsome son, Richard.
Life with the Lions wouldn't be complete without the whole cast. So here from London are your 2 children to share this night with you, Barbara and Richard. Now the cast is complete, all right. This is your life, Bebe Daniels Lyon, a selfless, courageous life. Come on, kids, gather around. Sit over here, Bebe. Ben, get her down here. An example to all of us in the past and the present and the years that lie ahead. Now, in a moment, we'll take a look into your future. Come on, just sit down here, Phyllis, darling mother. But right, well, look, Bebe, we've just got to run here, but Hazel Bishop will see that you receive a 16-millimeter film of this program together with a 16-millimeter Bell and Howell sound movie projector to play it on. Marshall Jewell commissioned David Miller, one of America's leading young artists, to paint your portraits. They will be hung in Val Parnell's famous London Palladium, the theater where you two made your first great success in England.